Being a member of a stable is supposed to help get a wrestler over, although it doesn't always work out that way. See the Dungeon of Doom, the First Family, the Misfits in Action, the Alliance, or anything else that included Hugh Morris. Nothing funny about that, is there, Mr. DeMott? However, there have been plenty of occasions throughout wrestling history where every single member of a group has been a champion at the same time, proving that there is indeed strength in numbers. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 times wrestling stables held all the gold. Join us.
But first, if you needed the best protection possible, who would you turn to? Brock Lesnar? Omos? Maybe get Farouk and Bradshaw back out of retirement? No. If you want the best protection out there, then there is naught better than NordVPN. Cheers to Nord for sponsoring this video. We at Cultaholic truly believe that NordVPN is the best service of its kind. So here's how I use Nord. Obviously, I live in the United Kingdom, but with NordVPN I can set myself to be anywhere in the world virtually and access content from those regions. So this means if I fancied it, I could set myself to be somewhere else in the world virtually and sign up for a certain sports entertainment network for a fraction of the price. Or if I happen to live in the United States, I could sign up for that sports entertainment network even though it doesn't properly exist as it did before in the United States. You get what I mean. So you can get all of the premium live events, the weekly shows, the historical stuff, all of that for a fraction of the price. Oh, and it works for plenty of other on-demand services too. Wink. On top of that, it protects against password attacks, phishing, ransomware, malware, and much, much more. It's seriously an investment worth making. And you know what? There's even a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if Nord isn't for you, you can get your money back. No bother at all. So grab your exclusive NordVPN deal right now by going to nordvpn.com/cultaholic, link in the description below, to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus 4 additional months for free. Can't say fairer than that.
Number 10, British Strong Style. Before they were hoovered up by the mad vacuum cleaner that is WWE, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate and Trent Seven were in a faction called British Strong Style in Progress Wrestling. With their Midlands accents, gruff demeanors and penchant for flat caps, the group drew heavy inspiration from a certain TV show, Seinfeld. Oh wait, it was Peaky Blinders. Silly me. BSS got their first taste of gold when Dunne and Seven won the Progress Tag Team Championships in September 2016. However, when Dunne attempted to hand over his belt to Bate, they were stripped of the titles. So, what happened next? Oh, Bate and Seven just won them outright in December. Fair enough. In the meantime, Dunne had won a 7-way elimination match to pick up the vacant Progress World Championship, meaning that the lads from the Black Country were all champions now. Apart from a 2-week period when they lost the tag titles, all 3 men held onto their belts until September the following year, with Tyler and Pete even holding the WWE United Kingdom Championship during this time. Fast forward to June 2018 and all 3 men held gold in WWE, with Tyler and Trent holding the NXT tag titles whilst Pete was UK champ, though this only lasted a couple of weeks. Some would say that all 3 men had peaked and played a blinder there. Number 9, the Hurt Business. WWE have never seen TNA/Impact Wrestling as rivals, which is maybe why they've stolen so many ideas from them over the years. Take the union of Bobby Lashley and MVP, for example. They were together in Impact as the Beatdown Clan, and when both men were back in WWE in 2020, they got together once again under the new name of the Hurt Business. MVP was in Lashley's corner when he beat Apollo Crews for the United States Championship at Payback. By September, the group had added Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander to their ranks, who set their sights on some tag gold. Their day would come at TLC when they defeated the New Day for the Raw tag straps. Now everyone had a belt except MVP. He had a ruddy medal! Lashley would eventually become world champion just 2 weeks before Benjamin and Alexander lost their titles. After that, the Hurt Business just sort of stopped existing until WWE needed 2 people for Goldberg to beat up during his feud with the Almighty. Isn't that always the way? Number 8, Degeneration X. Are you ready? Well, I bloody hope so, because we're already at number 8 in our countdown. Degeneration X first arrived on the scene in 1997 when Shawn Michaels, Triple H and Chyna were joined by the obvious addition of Rick Rude in a suit. Because nothing screams degenerate quite like a well-dressed man with an immaculately kept moustache. Rude was out the door later in the year, with HBK also gone after his first retirement. This allowed the Game to take over, sign some new recruits, and lead the group to its most successful period. When X-Pac won the European Championship on the September 15th, 1998 edition of Raw, it meant that all 4 male members of DX were now title holders. Triple H had defeated The Rock in their epic ladder match at SummerSlam to win the Intercontinental Championship, whilst the New Age Outlaws had secured the tag straps earlier that same night. This elation only lasted 2 weeks though, when X-Pac dropped his title back to D'Lo Brown. Unfortunately, by the time he had won it back, Trips had to vacate his belt due to a knee injury. It may have only been a fortnight, but just like me and my first girlfriend, it still counts. Number 7, The Shield. When Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns all emerged from the crowd at Survivor Series 2012, dressed like they had just left the office on Casual Friday, fans knew that they were witnessing something special. That said, perhaps nobody knew just how special this moment would be, as the WWE audience had just been introduced to 3 future world champs. Before they all got their mitts on the top prize, the Shield all won championship gold of a different variety on the very same night. At Extreme Rules 2013, Ambrose bested Kofi Kingston to capture the United States Championship. Later in the evening, Rollins and Reigns unseated Daniel Bryan and Kane to become your new WWE Tag Champs. The Hounds of Justice held on to all 3 titles for 148 days before Reigns and Rollins lost their belts to the Rhodes Brothers. Ambrose would continue on as US champ for almost a full year though, the longest reign with that particular belt in company history. He managed 14 televised defenses before dropping it to Sheamus. Fair play to the lunatic fringe. Number 6, The New Day. Who could possibly forget the time at WrestleMania 35 when Kofi Kingston did the unthinkable and became WWE Champion? He pinned Daniel Bryan in front of tens of thousands of people to win the big one for the very first time. And you know what? He held that strap for a while, with his reign lasting 180 days, which gave the rest of his New Day brethren a chance to add to the haul. At Extreme Rules 2019, whilst Kingston was defending his title against Samoa Joe, Big E and Xavier Woods were competing in a triple threat match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The hip-swiveling, trombone-blasting duo defeated Heavy Machinery and champions Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan to win their 4th set of blue belts. In retrospect, Kingston was also added to this reign as part of the Freebird rule. Isn't that nice? The tag title run was over after just 2 months, and by October, no member of the New Day was in possession of a belt. Hey, it was nice while it lasted. Power of positivity and all that. Number 5, The Undisputed Era. With the word undisputed in their name, this faction of ex-Ring of Honor lads set themselves up for greatness from the get-go. Originally consisting of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, with Roderick Strong joining later, the Undisputed Era ran roughshod over NXT for the better part of 4 years. They had held various titles on and off over that time, but the night it all came together was the 18th of September 2019, the first time NXT went live on the USA Network. Strong defeated North American champion Velveteen Dream to end his record-setting reign with the belt. This was Roddy's first taste of singles gold in the promotion and the last male NXT championship that wasn't already held by the Era. O'Reilly and Fish had been tag champs since August, while Cole had been NXT champion since June. Eventually, half of the stable lost their belts to Keith Lee as he beat Strong for the North American title and then captured the top prize in July 2020. Honestly, they should have just given him both tag belts as well. The possibilities would have been limitless. You get it? Number 4, The Elite. Do you remember during the early days of AEW when the Elite booked themselves to look like absolute chumps? Do you remember when Tony Khan went, nah, let's not do that, and things got infinitely better? Technically, the Elite first won gold in their own promotion when Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega beat SCU for the tag titles. However, we're interested in when the group went evil. After his split from Hangman and eventual heel turn, Omega beat Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship at Winter is Coming 2020. In April 2021, the previously babyface Young Bucks would also batter Mox to formally join up with Kenny as villains. Poor old John, eh? The Bucks had been AEW Tag Team Champions since beating FTR for the belts at Full Gear the previous year. Now the Elite was back, and they were all champions, and we're not done yet. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, who were technically signed to Impact Wrestling at the time, also joined the group's ranks. The Good Brothers were Impact Tag Team Champions twice during their time on AEW TV, making this Super Elite even more impressive. Number 3, the Bloodline. The most recent WWE faction to do the hold all the gold thing took that phrase quite literally. The Bloodline's rise to ultimate power began when Roman Reigns returned at SummerSlam 2020 with a new attitude, a new mission statement, and a new set of teeth. Just 1 week later at Payback, Reigns became the Universal Champion, a run that would last for the next 3 years, and counting. After persuading/emotionally manipulating them to join him, Reigns brought his cousins the Usos into the fold as his devious little helpers. The Bloodline was now in full swing. The Twins won the SmackDown tag belts on the Money in the Bank 2021 kickoff show of all places, thus beginning an iron-fisted rule over the blue brand. But hey, because controlling one brand wasn't enough, the Bloodline decided to grab all of Raw's belts too. Reigns defeated Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 38 to become WWE Champion as well. Then, a month or so later, the Usos beat RK Bro to win the Raw tag belts. Hey, if you really want to be a completionist, you can also chuck in that time Solo Sikoa was NXT North American Champion for a week. Or don't, I don't really care. Number 2, the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen were less of a stable and more of a philosophy, which is some of the deepest analysis you will ever hear on a professional wrestling video hosted by me. That philosophy was to protect Ric Flair at all costs. The Nature Boy would recruit 3 other wrestlers to constantly be at his side, ensuring he had maximum backup when challenging for or defending the NWA/WCW World title. Over the years, many men have become horsemen, some more effectively than others, but the lineup we are interested in is the one featuring Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Lex Luger. At the 1987 Great American Bash, Luger defeated Nikita Koloff to win his first ever United States title. 2 months later, Arn and Tully wrested the NWA tag titles away from the Rock and Roll Express. The last piece of the puzzle to fall into place was Flair, who defeated Ronnie Garvin at Starrcade in November to become world champion for the 5th time, or 9th time if you ask the man himself. Many years later, Flair would put his experience in the Horsemen to good use when he helped guide yet another mega stable to a championship clean sweep. Number 1, Evolution. Triple H loved Ric Flair in the 80s so much that he dug up his old belt and even had the man himself in his corner during his infamous reign of terror in the early to mid-2000s. He also nicked his idea of a super stable, recruiting a young Randy Orton and Batista to form the legendary Evolution. Much like with the Horsemen, Evolution's objective was to keep the World Heavyweight Championship on the game at any cost. But that didn't mean the other members couldn't also have a bit of fun. At Armageddon 2003, Randy Orton defeated Rob Van Dam to become Intercontinental Champion for the first time. Batista lost his scheduled match to Shawn Michaels on the night, but perked up when Ric Flair announced that the two of them would be entering a tag team turmoil match for the World Tag Team titles. And you'll never guess what? They bloody won the thing. Finally, in the night's main events, Triple H defeated Kane and World Champion Goldberg in a triple threat match to win the big gold belt for the 3rd time. The show would end on that iconic image of all 4 men, belts in hand, standing at the top of the stage. Now that is what I call dominance.